Well, hello, everybody. Good morning, and welcome back to another episode of Adult Child of Dysfunction. Today, we have with us Sonya Achara. She's a 14-year veteran who has her own business, her own podcast. She's a keynote speaker and author of her memoir, Remember Who You Are, My Journey to Higher Consciousness. And she uses her story to inspire others to heal from their past traumas. Sorry, I think I need more coffee too. So, welcome, Sonya.
Yeah, hi. It's
Yeah,
great to
so
have.
Yeah, I'm glad to have you here today. I don't know even where we met. I think it was on Potapalooza, maybe.
I don't know. I know I'm part of the Need a Guest
Mm,
group on Facebook, so
Yeah, that's probably it. I get a lot of guests from there. Fun guests too. So tell us a little bit. I know you served, you're still in the military now, or you're a veteran. You're not in the military.
actually, yeah, I actually got out of the military last year in the beginning of the year.
Okay. So tell us a little bit about your journey, just so we can kind of set the stage for what we're going to be talking about today. I think we have
Okay.
a lot of similarities, but go ahead and talk.
Mhm.
Give you the stage.
Yeah. Yeah, so I definitely had a rough childhood. I grew up, it was very like emotionally neglected. My mother was verbally, physically, and emotionally abusive. And my father was just, going through his own stuff. So he became non present. He was physically there, but he just wasn't there really. I think the last time I remember him really being present when I was young. Um, when I was young, it was probably like kindergarten, first grade time frame. We used to go camping and stuff, and that was the last time I really felt connected to him. And after that, it's there was a lot of things that happened throughout my childhood that caused even more issues. I became very rebellious in middle school, just because of all the stuff that was going on in the house. And me and my mom always fought. And it was just, I just I never felt loved. I never felt enough. I always felt like a burden to her. There was a lot of times when I was young that she even told me that she wished I was never born. And just a lot of hurtful things. So
Isn't
I
that the
guess
worst? Like, how do you tell your child? I mean, you just said you had a child sleeping in the bed. Like, how do you tell
mhm,
your child? Because my mom used to do that every day.
mhm,
I don't know why I ever had you. I wish you had never been born.
mhm,
Things would have been so much better. Blah 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 blah. Like, how do you
mhm.
do that to a child? That is unbelievable to me.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like she even told me about the things that she couldn't do because of me, and just blamed me for her shortcomings.
Right. Were you the only child?
No, I actually had a sister. My sister was 4 years younger than me, so I was the oldest.
So you probably did a lot of protecting too, didn't you?
Yeah, I do feel like I did a lot of the protecting. I also did feel like when I was younger, I felt that they treated my sister better than me, and they would compare me to her, and like my sister always got good grades, so she was never an issue. But I didn't even realize we kind of felt the same way growing up, but she just handled it in a different way.
As everybody does. You can take three
Mhm.
kids. I have a brother and a sister. And if you put us in three different rooms and asked us the same questions, you would literally never know we were even in the same house.
Mhm. Yeah,
And
that's crazy how that happens too.
it is because everybody kind of takes their roles. Like they
Mhm.
become the caretaker. And then if your little sister became like the invisible child, then she's gonna,
Mhm.
there's all these different roles that kids take. And there's always like the perfect child, the golden child, and then there's like the rebellious one, the one that gets in trouble,
Mhm.
and the one that, the peacekeeper. There's all it's fascinating reading about it. I know when I went through
Mhm.
Al-Anon, I don't know if you ever went through Al-Anon or any of those 12-step programs. Well, you didn't say actually
Um,
that's you didn't say anything about alcoholism. I don't know why I assumed that. I guess I shouldn't have.
oh yeah, yeah, no, so my dad actually, neither one of my parents had the alcohol problem. It was because my grandfather had the alcohol problem. My dad, I guess, stayed away from the alcohol.
Right. Right. But unfortunately, he probably got a lot of the traits of just from his dad. You know,
Yeah, he definitely.
yeah, I tell
Um,
my kids, oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say he definitely. One thing I actually didn't tell anyone for the longest because I was like embarrassed for the longest time. But now, like, I'm not scared to tell people my full story. My dad actually transitioned over. I guess with what he went through in, at a younger age. He says he felt like he should have been born a woman. And so he did the whole transitioning over. So
While you were a child?
no, he waited until later. This
Oh,
didn't even
okay.
happen until later, but I didn't even realize that that was what he was dealing with when I was a child. Like he had his own mental battles.
Oh, yeah. And usually, usually that's what happens. And that's, I tell people when that have like any kind of major dysfunction, when you can turn, when the day that you finally turn your story and you see your parents of having the same wounds that you have now, and you just go, oh,
Mhm.
I get why they were the way they were. And you look at it
Mhm.
like with more compassion and stuff. It's like your
Mhm.
whole world changes. Did that happen for
Changes,
you?
yeah. It really did, because I have a lot of empathy because if I really look at what they went through compared to what I went through, they had it way worse than I did. And even though it felt really bad at the time growing up, I definitely look back and have more empathy for them.
Well, yeah, you understand they were wounded. They don't have the tools. I mean, now it's like
Mhm.
you might be the first one in your generation, like your first
Mhm.
generation that actually had access to the tools or
Mhm.
were inspired enough. You say you do a lot of with the conscious living, and which
Mhm.
means you've got a deeper awareness and a sense of self and those things in general. If you're looking at other things, they probably didn't have that. So they just went through life just doing what they knew to do, becoming
Mhm.
who they knew to become. And those, they never healed from those things. So yeah, it's nice to be able to look at that. But you made a comment and you said like they didn't have it or they had it worse than you.
Mhm.
And I'm not correcting you. Obviously, you know the story, but it's funny when somebody asked me one time because I was kind of like you, like my mother was the abusive, verbally,
Mhm.
physically, mentally, narcissistic,
Mhm.
crazy person, actually, literally. But
Yeah,
my father
yeah.
was, yeah, my father was more of one of those that just wasn't available, like you
Mhm.
said, just couldn't
Mhm.
be. He had his own demons. He had to deal with my mother. He had to deal with all of the
Mhm.
past of his, being sexually abused for years and all of these
Mhm.
things. But I remember one time someone asked me in an interview and they said, if you had to pick, would you have rather gotten physically abused or ignored? And I said, physically abused any day
Yeah.
because
Me too. The physical abuse wasn't that bad to me, to be honest, compared to.
yeah, compared to talking and knowing you are talking to a wall or talking and knowing that they could have cared less what you said or just not having any parent to talk to at all is so
Mhm.
much worse than a beating now and then. Like
Mhm.
that's just a thing. At least you knew you were
Yeah.
there and at least you knew they knew you were there.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Like I definitely I remember looking back and I just I'm in a house full of people, but I just felt so alone.
Right. Yep.
And so.
And that's why there's so many people out there struggling right now because I think these people that grew up in these beautiful huge houses and had a pool and a maid and had all this stuff and they're like, who am I to complain? I
Mhm.
had everything. And I'm like, you didn't have your parents. And
Mhm.
that is, you didn't have connection. You didn't have the love of the people that were supposed to care and support you. And not having that, who cares about the house, the car, the pool, the money,
Yeah,
the private school? Nobody cares about any of that.
nobody cares.
It's crazy. So tell me what you do. What are you doing now? Because I know it said that you're just helping other people. You have a book. Tell us about your book.
Yeah, so my book is just really about all the major things in my life that I've gone through, the good, the bad, and the ugly. It's all it's all in there. Everything that I've been through that I feel has made made me the person I am today. And so I am a I'm a quantum embodiment coach. And so I really got into it because I had a quantum healing experience where I had gone through years of therapy. I've done therapy at different times in my life. When I was a teenager, even when I got older, I waited a while because the Marine Corps tells you to suck it up. And so I waited a while. Towards the end of my Marine Corps career, my last 2 years, I actually was seeing a therapist. But this quantum healing experience happened after all that, and it really felt like um, it got rid of like my lifelong anxiety. It got rid of my alcohol cravings, and it was just like I felt like I just had jumped onto a whole new timeline. And so that's why I really got into it and dove deep into quantum physics and consciousness. I'm even in a master's program now for consciousness.
Nice. Can you
So
explain to the audience? Because a lot of people are probably like, what is quantum experience? Like, they're probably like, I know what it is, but can you explain kind of what it looks like or what it looked like to you?
yeah, so let's see. So I could say what I did. It was almost like I I heard I had always been into Joe Dispenza and his work, and he's a famous neurologist that has done a lot of, he's done a lot of um, what is it, like group events with people, and his results have been miraculous every time. And so it was really a Joe Dispenza like meditation that I was listening to, and I just wrote everything down. It was like breath work, meditation, a mantra, and a movement. Like it was a lot of things kind of that went into it, but I just dove all into it. And so I did all of it 3 times a day. I was doing it 3 times a day, and just after a couple of days, it was um it was like my reality shifted. Like I just saw the world differently. I saw it was almost like I saw it from a higher perspective, and I saw all the reasons why I went through the things I went through in my life. Um, and it just changed my whole it just changed my whole experience. And so now, and since then, it's been, I just feel like it's been up from there.
And it's funny that you said I dove into it, and I really just dove into it because a lot of people, I'll say, you have to listen to Dr. Joe Dispenza, and people are like, oh, yeah, I've listened to it. But did you go through the motions? Like, did you
Mhm.
actually do it? Because just listening to it, you're like, oh, yeah, yeah, that's peaceful. People put in a meditation while they're going to sleep, and they're
Yeah.
like, oh, yeah, that's nice. But I'm like, no, he teaches you how to breathe and to like get it
Mhm.
into, like,
And
some
how
people
to
don't even know how to
feel it
breathe
in
into
your
their stomach.
body.
You would say what?
Yeah. I was gonna say he teaches. So I remember there was a time in my life, I think when COVID happened, I was just listening to the meditations and it didn't work the same. But this time I really like felt into it. Like it's the key is to like feel it within your body and your cells. And he does teach that. So but I do feel like it takes a while of listening to it. You have to listen to it like over and over to get the deeper meanings of things, if that
Right.
makes sense.
And you have to practice all the things because he'll like talk about,
Mhm,
like, one of his meditations talks like all about gratitude, and it tells
mhm,
you, not just to wake up and be like, I'm grateful I have a roof over my head, I'm grateful I do this, it's like so much. And I think that's the problem with so many of these like healing things where people just go, oh, yeah, I listened to it. But it's like, no, it's like I
mhm.
have an 8-week course, and I'll have someone text me and go, oh, I loved your information in your course. And I'll go back and look, and I'm like, dude, that's an 8-week course and you went through it in 52 minutes. Like there's
Oh,
like
wow.
there's 37 articles in each section. There's
Mhm.
affirmations every day. There's guided meditations every day. There's journaling prompts every day. Like it's an 8-week
Mhm.
course, 52 minutes. You know what you're going to get? More aware. You're just going to become more aware of the fact that you have some issues. Literally.
Yeah, right. No, that's true. And that's what I've heard before. I've heard like the knowledge doesn't really mean anything. Like you can have the knowledge of something, but if you don't put it into practice,
Yes,
then
I've
it's not going to
people
do
always go
anything.
knowledge is power. I said no, knowledge is potential power.
Yeah, definitely.
If you don't do something with it. But I love for the people out there listening, like literally just type in Dr. Joe Dispenza and just start from the
Mhm.
beginning. Like just look at his stuff or look at the titles because some of them are
Mhm.
like meditations for certain things. And some of them are just interviews where he literally
Mhm.
talks through the process. And it's really
Yeah,
fascinating. I mean, I just took every time I fly, that's what I listen to and stuff. But
yeah.
um but yeah, for the people that are not listening, like when you think of this quantum and you hear this word quantum, it literally is like this big universal, like out
Mhm.
of your body, like get, into your body, but out of your body, if that makes sense. I don't
Yeah,
really
yeah.
how to
Yeah,
explain
because
that.
we're all made of energy, and that's the thing. So since we're all made of energy, everything is made of energy. Um, we can literally quantum physics says that there's limitless possibilities. But really, it's when something is observed is when the reality kind of shapes. And
Right.
since there's millions of people, billions of people, um, we see what our reality is, but once we're able to see from the higher perspective, we can start to become more aware and actually change our reality.
Right. Exactly. Well, and it's just, you always hear the thing like what you think about, you become, or what you bring about, and all this
Mhm.
manifestation and stuff. And you're right, it's all energy. So, like, he
Mhm.
teaches, like, one of my favorite ones is when he teaches how to literally make your body and mind completely believe that you are where you want to be. So, like,
Yeah,
so you're envisioning yourself in the future and how it feels. And people are like, how
yeah.
do you envision that? I'm like, it doesn't matter. Half our stories that we tell ourselves we make up anyway. So
Right. Yeah, it's like we have an imagination when we try and it's like, and it's not even about trying that hard. It's really just about just going with that imagination. Like I've had so many different visions, and when you really feel into the vision, you really can feel the possibility of it.
right,
And it's really when people start to tell others about their dreams and goals where dreams get crushed because people, because they weren't able to do it, they project their limiting beliefs on others. And
E-
so
exactly. So talk about, I know I kind of got off topic here, but talk about what you do with people that you work with.
so I have one-on-one basically programs. I have a one-on-one call that somebody can do if they just want one quick call. Or I have a actual program. It's an 8-week program, and they basically it's still one-on-one, but they get a lot more time with me, which I usually recommend that just because it'll bring about the more lasting change, and you have the accountability there with
Right.
me. So it's you'll they get like text. They'll be able to text and do voice notes with me throughout the day, Monday through Friday, and then we get one like Zoom call a week for the eight
Okay.
weeks.
Okay. And do you work on like a specific thing, or you just who is your ideal person that comes to you? Someone that just says like, I don't get it. I'm stuck. I'm lost. Well, like, what are your people wanting when they come to you?
So my ideal person is somebody that's already done a little bit of the work, that already knows that they have subconscious patterns, and they just don't know how to break free from those. Because I can literally, at least where I'm at now, I can actually see when people tell me their story, I can see their patterns and I can see where they need healed, basically.
Right.
And so we
Right.
can start to work on those areas, because when it's subconscious, you can't really point it out, but when you have somebody that can see from that higher perspective, they can start to point that out for you and work on it.
And I always say, yeah, you don't know what you don't know. So if you're looking from yourself, and that's why I say it's so important to have a coach or to have a, the
Mhm.
one-on-one sessions are good, don't get me wrong, because I do them as well. But yeah, they
Mhm.
come to you and then it's like, but then they don't have any follow-up, they don't have any.
Mhm.
I mean, I have one girl that calls me all the time and she'll be like, okay, it's like, I know it's 7 o'clock on a Wednesday morning, but this is my weekly time because this is what's
Mhm.
going through. And it literally takes me 2 seconds. I'm like, well, did you ever think? And I just kind of like ask a couple questions. And then she's like, oh, why didn't I see that? Because
Yeah,
you're you. Like
yeah, because
I'm
you're
looking, I'm looking out. I don't care. I don't care, not that I don't care, but I don't care what the answer is. Where
yeah.
in our own minds, our heads are spinning and we're just trying to figure it all out. And if we don't know one
Mhm.
little missing piece that someone from the outside can figure out in 2 seconds,
Mhm.
you
Yeah.
know, well,
Yeah, that's definitely true.
it's so funny to me. It makes me laugh so hard. But I mean, that's good. That's
Yeah.
why.
I mean,
And
I still have a mentor right now. I believe you know, paying for that mentorship is completely worth it. When, you do have to have like this discernment because there are people out there that are just trying to cheat people. But if it's somebody that actually like knows what they're doing and, can really help you, like it's 100% worth it.
oh yeah. And that's, I think, my biggest advice, especially since you said you're going to people that have kind of already figured out. It's kind of like where I am. They've listened to a podcast or
Mhm.
they've heard something and they've gone, wow, both my parents were alcoholics. And I never really thought about it. I figured
Mhm.
as soon as I moved out of the house, things would get better. And,
Mhm.
those are the people that I grab. And I'm like, man, doesn't matter how many people you need to go to something, whether it's a group, whether
Yeah.
it's a coach, whether it's a therapist, whether it's a hypnotherapist, whatever it is,
Mhm.
but most importantly, feel safe and heard.
Mhm.
Because if you don't feel safe, I mean, it's all like, well, everybody talks about it, it's all in your body. And if you don't feel
Mhm.
safe or something feels wrong, or, you go and you go to your first session and you catch them in a little, oops, I don't know what I said the first time. No, like you gotta
Mhm.
go with your gut instinct.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. That intuition is huge, and not enough people listen to their own intuition.
Yeah. And
So,
and not by their own fault either. It's
mhm.
like when you're a kid, especially if you grew up in one of these crazy households and
Yeah.
you felt something or said this doesn't feel right, and then you're made to go against it or told to zip it up or told, it
Yeah.
doesn't matter,
Yep.
just do what we say, it doesn't feel right, it doesn't matter if it doesn't feel right, I told you to do it, kind of thing. You learn
Mhm.
to one, assume that your intuition and what you're feeling isn't valid. And two,
Yeah.
know that even if you voice it, it's not going to be validated. So,
Yeah, your body does go into the defense mechanisms, and so that was honestly why even as I got older, I had narcissistic relationships around me, but didn't even realize,
mm-hmm.
and that's because if we didn't deal with our traumas, in the past when they happened, we're actually going to keep seeing that pattern in the people around us until we wake up.
Yeah. And, and someone said to me the other day, well, why is that? Why do you do that? And I'm like, well, a couple reasons. One, it's all you know. So you don't
Mhm.
know it's not even right. And two
Yeah.
is your brain loves familiarity. Your brain
Mhm.
loves to be comfortable. So it's like you get attracted to that thing that you know how to deal with. Even
Mhm.
though you might go, oh, this is gonna suck. Like, oh, that you date that one guy and you go, oh God, sounds just like some stuff my mother used to say. And instead of going red flag, I'm out of here, you're like, oh, I know how to
Mhm.
do it this. I know how to beat that. And you do it. You
Yeah, you
even
just do it. I know with my son's father, there was a lot of red flags I ignored, and I remember feeling the spidey sense in my body, but I just ignored it because that was what I was used to doing. But that relationship is actually, I'm thankful for it now because it really woke me up. It like literally just woke me up to everything, and that was where I was able to start doing my real inner work.
right, right. So what kind of, besides like the Joe Dispenza type things and the quantum things, what else have you done to get where you're at today? Because you're obviously, I mean,
Um,
you didn't talk much about your history except for the family, but I did read somewhere in your notes or your bio or something that you wrote. I think what you sent on my form, I think you got into more detail, right? Or
yeah,
was,
I'm pretty sure I did put
yeah.
some detail
But
on
but
there.
anyway, what other things did you use for people that are listening that are like, huh, interesting. Let's try this and that. Cause I always tell people to have as many tools as they can.
Yeah, many tools. Yeah, honestly, grounding in nature is huge. That like we're supposed to be connected, and that's the biggest reason why people that have been in dysfunctional families, like we just have been disconnected for so long. We don't realize until when you really just sit in nature and just like take in everything, you start to feel a lot more connected to just to the world.
And you're right. And get as close as you can. Like I tell people, going to the beach with your sneakers on
Mhm.
or tennis shoes on is not the same as going to the beach and put your feet in the sand and
Mhm.
chilling out. I mean, it's literally, I know they call it grounding for a reason.
Yeah. Yeah, like the studies actually show that it literally grounds, like, because your body builds electricity all day, and if you're just wearing shoes and socks all day and you're not actually grounding it on in the sand or on the grass, you're actually holding the inflammation in your body, and that's where inflammation comes from. And so when you're grounding, and you don't have to do it every day. I don't do it every day, but I definitely make time to go at least a couple times a week, to the beach or to the grass, like a park.
Right.
And just lay there with my bare feet in the grass or the sand.
Yep, as much as you can do it, just as close as you can get. You
Mhm.
can, yeah, you live in New York City and you're on a high rise 32nd story. You're not going out and
Mhm.
going to the park every day, but the best you can, and really just in general, just being barefoot as much as you can. I know that sounds
Mhm.
crazy, but you're right. It's
Yeah.
it releases some of that energy.
It does, and, like, I feel a big difference after I do it. I just feel, like, reset. Like, my
Hmm.
whole body feels reset.
Absolutely. Well, this has been super fun, but what other tips? Do you have any other tips or tricks, or what are things that you
Yeah.
give? Let's say, what are things that you give your startup clients to do after like a first session?
After a first session, I think it depends on what, they have going on, but for the most part, like, journaling is big, because you're able to get your thoughts and feelings out. That's a big thing. We've always, like, held in our thoughts and feelings, or our mind goes into defense mode and, creates something completely different. Like, for me, when I was younger, I always, told myself I didn't care about things when I really did. And that went on to when I got older and was with a therapist, and he kind of pointed that out, like, you say you don't care about things, but it seems like you actually really do care. And it kind of was like, it hit me like, whoa. And I had to really think about that.
It's funny because I remember actually the exact day that a therapist said that to me too. Because I was like, no,
Mhm.
I don't care. And he's like, no, I really think you do. And it was the exact same thing. And I'm like, you're right. I really do. And journaling, it helped because I remember going home that night and journaling and just starting with the message, the sentence that he asked me about that said, I don't care about this. And bam,
Yeah.
just free flowed. And I was like, wow, I really, really care.
Yeah, and it just comes out. And that's the thing too with journaling is, when you're really able to get your thoughts and feelings out, that's when, like, it really does help you transform, because we always thought that holding it in was keeping us safe. But when you really feel through something, that's when it actually transforms, and you can basically transmute that energy.
Right.
Um, but if
Absolutely.
you haven't transmuted the energy, it gets stuck in your body in forms of, like, inflammation, or even if you've ever had any illnesses, like all that stuff comes from emotional distress.
Right. Especially inflammation. I think inflammation is like the key to everything. I mean,
Mhm.
and I said it's not by accident that the word that itis, which is inflammation, basically,
Mhm.
the most painful ailments that you can have in the world, all
Mhm.
endinitis,
Mhm.
appendicitis, diverticulitis, bursitis,
Yeah.
tendinitis. Like, think about that. Like, it's definitely your
Yeah.
body's way of saying, I am in distress. Do
Mhm.
something, you
Yeah,
know?
definitely.
So, but do you have any other, like, give me one more and then I'll let you go off the hook.
One
I just
more.
like giving people tips to take.
Yeah, a bunch of different tips. Let's see. I said journaling, grounding in nature. What else do I do? Yeah, I definitely do. I feel like the breath work is huge
Mm-hmm.
too, because when you breathe, when you take deep breaths, it resets your nervous system. So that's huge. I feel like taking deep breaths, especially when you start to get frustrated and angry, when you just take a pause, take that deep breath, you'll see that it actually it calms you down.
Absolutely. And it definitely, especially if you're in a reactive state where everything you're kind of irritated and anxious. And so
Mhm.
many of us go through the day where we're just on edge. And
Mhm.
so when somebody says something, you snap and you react. And it's
Mhm.
like one of the biggest tips I ever got years ago was just before I even say something back, is just breathe in, even if I have to put my hand on my heart or my hands on my
Mhm.
hips to pretend it's my
Yeah.
heart so it doesn't look so obvious, just breathe in and pause, because that deep
Mhm.
breath sometimes is enough to reset enough to where you don't say something you regret.
Yeah, it really does. I have a toddler, so there's a lot of times I have to take deep breaths.
You probably have to
But
count more than three. You probably have to count to 10.
yeah, but it's honestly my toddler and being in this kind of state, I guess, it's made me more aware and I've gotten better at taking the deep breaths when I get frustrated with him. I still slip up from time to time. I'm not perfect, but it's a lot better. The way I treat him is just like completely different from how I was treated. So I definitely, I try and give myself grace instead of trying to be the perfect mother.
Well,
I
there's no such,
actually,
yeah, there's no such thing as the perfect mother, no matter how hard we
yeah.
try, right?
hmm And so I definitely, and that's where I give myself grace. Like the things that I've been doing is enough instead of always, especially I feel like as women, we're always not feeling like we're doing enough. And so, that's the one thing I've been telling myself more, that everything I'm doing is enough, and you know, he's feeling loved, and he's a happy baby. So just the fact that he's happy and smiling and laughing most of the time is to me is proof that I'm doing a good job.
Amen. Amen. And if for those out there listening that are like, oh gosh, and this is giving them a little bit of a gut punch because they're like, I'm
Mm,
not doing a good job. The best time to start is right now. You can't go
yeah.
back. Do not beat yourself up. Like Sonya said, give yourself grace and
hmm
everything, because you don't know what you don't know. And then once you
hmm
hear something and it resonates with you and you go, wow, I can do better, then do better. But
Yeah.
don't beat yourself up over the past.
Yeah, that's the worst thing you can do is beat yourself up and feel guilt or shame. So don't, like, it's not about feeling bad about what you've already done. It really is, like she said, about just changing, just becoming more aware and working on that change.
Absolutely. So if people want to work with you, what is the absolute best place? I'm going to put everything you gave
Mhm.
me, I will put in the show notes, but what's the
Mhm.
best place for them to reach out for you?
I just send people to it's allmylinks.com/remember who you are 222, because it has all the links to my website and my social media and my podcast and everything. So
Okay. And I'll put
Mhm.
that, like I said, I'll putting that in the show notes, guys. So don't try to write that down if you're driving, and just, it'll be in the show notes. Just go back and check it out.
Mhm.
And before you leave, thank you. First of all, thank you so much for coming. I appreciate
Yeah,
you.
thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. And I want you to leave the listeners with one last words of wisdom, or what would be your final message to them to take with them today?
My final message is really that you are more powerful than you know, and you just have to really start believing that you are powerful, you are enough, you are capable of extraordinary things. And so take that in and start believing it for yourself.
Perfectly said. Thank you so much again for coming. I appreciate you. And for everybody else out there listening, you heard it. You are so much more powerful than you know and capable of anything you want to do. So go out there, start small, baby steps, but know that you are worth it. You are loved and you are heard. Thanks. See you next week.